The war between the Human Alliance and the Zurek Empire had finally ended. After 5 long years of fighting across stars, planets, and space stations, peace had come. Soldiers were tired, ships were broken, millions had died, but the human army had won. Inside the grand hall of the Zurek Royal Palace, the human commanders stood with pride. The alien king had surrendered. His guards laid down their weapons. His sons were taken away. The empire had fallen. Among the human soldiers, one man stood tall. His name was Tom. He was not the strongest or the smartest, but he had saved more lives than anyone else. He had fought in the first battle and the last one. He never gave up. Everyone respected him. The human general called out, "Tom, you fought with honor. As a reward, you may choose anything from the royal palace. Take gold, weapons, ships, or even a planet. You have earned it." Tom looked around the hall. There were piles of treasure, alien swords, glowing stones, and strange machines. Other soldiers picked their rewards with excitement. But Tom walked past them all. He moved to a corner of the room, where a group of alien prisoners sat quietly. Among them was a small girl with pale blue skin. She looked weak and cold. Her body was thin. Her hair was silver, and her eyes were soft like water. She wore a simple dress. Her hands were tied. Tom pointed at her and said, "I want her." The room went silent. The general raised his eyebrow. "You want the princess?" Tom nodded. "Yes. Her name is Nira, right?" One officer whispered. "Why would he want her? She's always sick. She can't speak much. She's the weakest of them all." The alien king, though broken and defeated, looked up. He said, "She is my youngest daughter. She is not strong. She has never been trained. Her own people never believed in her." Tom replied, "Then maybe it's time someone did." The general was confused, but allowed it. "Very well. She is yours." Tom walked toward her. Nira looked up, unsure and scared. She didn't understand what was happening. Tom untied her hands and helped her stand. She was shaking. He wrapped a blanket around her shoulders and guided her out of the palace. The other soldiers stared. Some laughed. Some called him soft. Some just watched in silence. As they walked to the ship, a young soldier asked, "Sir, why her? You could have taken a diamond weapon or a flying city." Tom smiled a little and said, "Sometimes the most valuable thing isn't made of gold." On the ship, Tom gave Nira a warm room and some food. She didn't eat much. She stayed quiet but watched everything carefully. Her eyes moved with calm focus. She seemed smarter than she showed. Tom didn't force her to talk. He just said, "You're safe now." The ship left the Zurek planet and moved toward Earth. It would take 3 weeks. During that time, the crew kept asking questions. No one understood why Tom picked her. He didn't explain. One evening, Nira came to the control room. She stood behind Tom and spoke for the first time in a soft voice. "Why did you choose me?" Tom looked at her. "Because you looked like you didn't want to be there. Because no one else would have picked you." Nira asked, "Do you feel sorry for me?" Tom shook his head. "No, I saw something in your eyes. You didn't look weak. You looked alone." Nira sat beside him. For a moment, they both said nothing. Then she asked, "What is Earth like?" Tom smiled. "It's blue and green, full of water and trees. The air is soft, and the sun is warm. It's not perfect, but it's home." Nira closed her eyes and listened. She seemed to enjoy his words. Days passed. Nira started walking around the ship more often. She spoke little but asked many questions. She was curious about everything. She touched the ship walls, watched the stars, and listened to the engines. Tom saw that she learned fast. One day, she fixed a broken panel before the engineer even noticed. Another day, she told the pilot a better way through an asteroid field. The crew started to respect her, but still no one knew why Tom had chosen her. One night, as Tom rested in the quiet observation room, Neera joined him again. She said, "You are different from other humans." Tom asked, "How so?" She replied, "You didn't treat me like a trophy or a prisoner. You treated me like a person." Tom looked at her. "That's because you are." Neera smiled for the first time. It was small but full of meaning. Tom didn't say anything more. He just looked out at the stars. That night, the ship flew silently through space, carrying one soldier and one alien girl who had once been enemies. Now they were something else. The others still didn't understand, but something was beginning to grow. Not just peace between two people, but something deeper. Something the war could never destroy, and this was only the beginning. The stars moved slowly outside the ship's windows. Inside the ship, everything was quiet, except for the soft hum of engines. The journey to Earth had begun, and it would take 22 more days. Tom spent his time with reports, checking ship systems, and watching over Neera. Neera stayed in her room most of the time. She was not used to human technology. She didn't know the food, the lights, or the sounds. The first night, she had trouble sleeping. Her body was used to cold stone walls, not soft beds. The second night, she sat by the window and looked at the stars until morning. Tom checked on her each day. He never pushed her to speak. He brought her simple food, blankets, and books about Earth. He placed a translator device in her room so she could learn human language faster. She used it every day. One morning, Neera walked to the control room on her own. She looked stronger than before. Her thin arms still trembled a little, but her eyes were sharp. She stood behind Tom and asked, "Is Earth really blue?" Tom turned to her and smiled. "Yes, mostly water. You'll like it." She nodded. "I've never seen water that is clean. Our world lost most of it." Tom handed her a photo. It showed a beach with clear waves and a sunset sky. Neera stared at it for a long time. Her fingers traced the waves like she could feel them. The crew started noticing her more. At first, they avoided her. Some didn't trust aliens. Some believed she might be dangerous. But slowly, their views changed. One day, the engine room had a small power problem. The lights blinked, and the screens froze. The engineer, a tall man named Bren, didn't know what caused it. Neera walked in and pointed to a hidden panel on the wall. "There," she said. Bren looked surprised. "How do you know?" She replied calmly, "Zurich ships have the same flaw. The power lines cross too close." Bren opened the panel. She was right. He fixed it in 5 minutes. He looked at her and said, "Thank you." Neera only nodded and walked out. Later that evening, Tom sat with her in the dining area. He said, "You keep surprising people." Neera looked down. "They don't trust me, but that's normal." Tom asked, "Why do you say that?" She answered, "On my planet, my people kept me hidden. I was sick as a child. They said I was too weak to help the Empire, so they locked me inside the palace." Tom listened quietly. "I read books," she continued. "I learned about machines. I listened to guards and learned about war. But they never let me leave. They believed I would break." Tom asked, "But you didn't break, did you?" Neera shook her head. "Not yet." After that day, more crew members started talking to her. Some asked questions about alien tech. Others asked about her home. She never smiled much, but she always gave answers. Tom watched her change. She walked more. She ate better. Her voice grew stronger. She even started fixing small things around the ship. The crew slowly began to respect her. No one called her weak anymore. One afternoon, the ship picked up a strange signal. It came from an old Zurek relay floating in deep space. The signal was broken, filled with noise, but Nira listened closely. Her eyes narrowed. "This signal is wrong," she said. "It's not just a message. It's a trap." Tom looked at her. "Are you sure?" "Yes. This relay was destroyed years ago. The signal is fake. Someone wants us to come close." Tom trusted her. He ordered the pilot to stay away from the relay. A few hours later, another ship passed by the same relay. It got too close. The trap exploded and destroyed it in seconds. The crew was silent. Nira had saved them again. Tom spoke to her that night. "How did you know?" Nira answered. "My father used fake signals like that. I read his old war plans." Tom looked at her. "You said you were never trained," she replied. "I wasn't, but no one said I couldn't learn." Tom realized something then. Nira had not just survived in the palace. She had studied everything. While others saw her as weak, she had been preparing quietly. He saw her in a new light. The next morning, the general from Earth sent a message. It said, "We heard you brought the alien princess. She must be handed over for study when you arrive." Tom frowned. Nira saw his face and asked, "What's wrong?" He showed her the message. She read it and sat still. "I knew this would happen," she said. "Your leaders want to understand me. Maybe they fear me too." Tom asked, "What do you want to do?" Nira replied, "I will go if you say so. You are my guardian now." Tom said firmly, "You're not a thing to hand over. You're a person. I'll protect you." Nira looked at him for a long moment. "Why do you care so much?" Tom said, "Because I was once just like you, a nobody. People thought I was too soft to be a soldier. They laughed at me. But someone gave me a chance. Now it's my turn to give one." Nira didn't speak, but her eyes were wet. The stars outside kept moving. The ship flew closer to Earth with every hour. On board, the bond between a human soldier and a frail alien girl grew stronger. The crew no longer saw her as a reward. They saw her as someone who belonged with them. And Tom saw something even more. He didn't choose her because she was weak. He chose her because she was strong in a way no one else saw. And deep in space, something ancient had started to awaken. But neither of them knew that yet. It had been 10 days since the journey to Earth began. The crew had grown used to having Nira on board. She still spoke softly, still moved carefully, but her presence was no longer strange. Some of the younger crew members even smiled when they saw her. She had helped repair panels, given advice about alien signals, and kept to herself without causing any problems. Tom watched her closely. He didn't speak much, but he noticed everything. He saw how she walked with more confidence now. He saw how her eyes followed every sound. He also noticed something else. At night, Nira would sit in the observation room alone. She would place both hands on the glass and stare into the stars without blinking. Her eyes would shine faintly like small lights, but only for a moment. Tom saw it once. He said nothing. One evening, the ship's alarm suddenly rang. Red lights flashed across the hall. The crew jumped into action. A warning came from the outer sensors. An unknown object was approaching fast. It was not from Earth, not from Zurek, and not from any known system. Tom ran to the control room. Nira was already there, standing in front of the screen. Her face was pale, her eyes wide. On the screen, a large black object moved through space like a shadow. It had no shape. It had no signal. But it was alive. "What is that?" the pilot asked. Nira whispered, "It's an echo beast." No one had heard that name before. The crew looked confused. Tom stepped forward. "What do you mean?" Nira replied, "It is not a ship. It is not a machine. It is something old, something my people feared." The beast moved closer. The ship's shields activated, but they were weak compared to the size of the threat. The Echo Beast let out a pulse, and the lights in the ship went dark for 2 seconds. Everyone held their breath. Then Nira walked forward. She raised her hand and her eyes began to shine again, this time brighter. The glow was soft, but full of energy. She spoke in a language no one understood. The ship lights came back. The beast slowed down. "What is she doing?" one officer asked. Tom said, "I don't know, but don't stop her." Nira stepped closer to the screen. Her voice grew louder. The strange object outside stopped moving. It hovered in place. Then, slowly, it turned away and disappeared into the stars. The crew stood frozen. No one spoke. No one breathed. Nira fell to her knees. Tom ran and caught her. Her body felt cold. Her heart was beating fast. He picked her up and carried her to the med room. The ship doctor checked her. "Her body is weak. She used too much energy. She needs rest." Tom stayed beside her bed. Hours passed. Finally, Nira opened her eyes. "I'm sorry," she said weakly. Tom held her hand. "You saved us. Again." Nira shook her head. "I used something I wasn't supposed to. It's not just my mind. There's something inside me." Tom asked. "What do you mean?" She looked at him with tired eyes. "When I was born, the old priests said I carried the gift, a power from the first light. It connects with machines and old creatures. My body is weak because it carries too much of it." "Tom, listen carefully. My father was afraid. He didn't want anyone to know. He told the court I was sick. He locked me away so I wouldn't bring shame," Tom said. "You were not a shame. You were a treasure." Nira closed her eyes again. "I'm not sure I'll survive if I use it." Again. Tom stayed silent for a while. Then he said, "You should have told me." She replied, "Would you still have picked me?" Tom answered, "Yes. I picked you before I knew. Not because of power, because I saw you." The next day, the general sent another message. He had seen the event from the long-range scanner. He now believed Nira had power that could help Earth. He ordered Tom to bring her directly to the science base when they landed. Tom didn't reply. He shut the screen off. Later, Nira joined him in the control room. "They will try to use me," she said. Tom nodded. "I won't let them," she asked. "What if it's the only way to stop something worse?" Tom looked at her. "Only if you choose it, not because they make you." Nira touched the screen. "There are more things out there. Echo beasts, ancient weapons, hidden codes. My power can reach them, but each time I use it, I lose a part of myself." Tom clenched his fists. He hated the idea of losing her. But Nira smiled faintly. "Don't worry. I will not break so easily." That night, Tom couldn't sleep. He sat by the ship window and looked at the stars. The same stars they had fought under during the war, the same stars they were now trying to protect. He thought about Nira, how she had been hidden for so long, how she had helped without being asked, how she carried something older than both their worlds. She was not just a princess. She was a bridge between ancient power and new hope, and the secret in her eyes was no longer hidden. The journey to Earth continued, but nothing felt the same anymore. The ship finally entered Earth's orbit. The blue planet looked calm from above, full of oceans, clouds, and green lands. To Nira, it looked like a dream. She stood near the window and stared without blinking. Tom stood behind her. "That's Earth," he said. "It's beautiful," Nira whispered, but beauty didn't mean safety. A message came through right away from Earth Command. The voice on the screen was cold and sharp. "This is General Hale. Soldier Tom, report to Base 1. Bring the alien female directly to the Science Division. Do not delay." Tom didn't like the tone. He answered, She has a name. Her name is Nira. The general ignored him. She will be kept under control until full scans are done. Her recent use of unknown energy was seen by many eyes. That power may be dangerous. Tom stood straight. She saved this ship. She saved my crew. Twice. The general replied, that does not change protocol. The message ended. Tom turned to Nira. They want to lock you up. She nodded slowly. I expected that. Your people don't know me. They only see what I can do. They're wrong, Tom said. When the ship landed on Earth, soldiers in gray suits waited on the runway. Their faces were hard. Their weapons were ready. Tom walked down first. He stood in front of them and raised his hand. She comes with me, he said. One of the officers stepped forward. She must be taken to the lab. Orders from the top. Tom looked back. Nira was behind him. Her face was calm, but her hands were tight at her sides. She could feel the fear in the air. I'm not handing her over, Tom said. The officer frowned. This is not your choice, a voice called from behind. It was Commander Rel, Tom's old leader. He had served with Tom during the early battles. He had seen Tom save lives with courage and honor. Let them pass, Rel said. The officers hesitated, but they obeyed. Tom nodded in thanks. He led Nira through the base, away from the labs. They went to a quiet place called Green Zone 8. It was far from the main base, surrounded by trees and clean air. Inside a small house, Nira sat by the window. Birds flew outside. She had never seen birds before. Tom brought her fresh water and some warm food. I'm sorry, he said. I wish your welcome had been different. Nira smiled softly. You tried your best. That's more than anyone ever did for me. Tom sat across from her. They don't see the real you. They see your power. They fear what they don't understand. Fear is strong, she said. My own people feared me, too. That's why they hid me. Tom nodded. But fear can change. It just takes time. Later that day, scientists came with scanners. They said they only wanted to study her energy. Tom stayed close during the tests. The machines beeped and glowed. Nira allowed them, but looked tired. She has a field inside her, one scientist said. It's like a living code wrapped around her core. We've never seen anything like it. It's not made by technology, another said. It's something more. Nira spoke quietly. It is old, before machines, before science. It comes from the first light. The scientists stared. They wrote notes and took more readings, but Nira's eyes showed pain. After the scans, she sat alone for hours. She didn't touch her food. Tom checked on her. Are you all right? Nira looked up. I don't like being a subject. You're not, Tom said. Not to me. The next morning, the base was busy. News had spread. Leaders from many countries wanted to see the alien girl who held unknown power. Some called her a gift. Some called her a threat. Everyone had an opinion. Tom kept the noise away from her as much as he could, but it was clear that people were watching. One night, Nira stood outside under the stars. The air was cool. Tom joined her. I can feel the fear growing, she said. Tom looked at the sky. They fear what they can't control. Nira turned to him. Will they hurt me? Tom placed a hand on her shoulder. Not while I'm here. The next day, a council meeting was held. Tom was called to speak. He stood before a group of leaders in a bright hall. They asked hard questions. Why did you bring her? Did you know she had this power? What if she loses control? Tom answered each question with calm strength. I brought her because no one else would. I believed she deserved more than a prison. I believed she deserved a chance. He looked. Around the room. She saved our ship from a trap. She stopped an echo beast. Not with weapons. With her mind. She risked her life to protect humans. She didn't have to. But she did. One leader said, "We still don't know what she truly is." Tom replied, "Then ask her. Don't fear her. Talk to her." Some leaders listened. Some didn't. But the message was heard. Back at the house, Neera sat on the floor reading a book about Earth's history. Tom returned and told her what happened. "They don't trust you," he said. "But they're thinking now." Neera said, "That's all I need. A chance." Tom sat beside her. "I'll stand with you, no matter what." Outside, the wind moved through the trees. For the first time since her arrival, Neera looked peaceful. But far away in deep space, something had awakened. A signal moved across the stars. Ancient, slow, and full of power. It had seen Neera's light, and it was coming. 3 days had passed since the council meeting. Neera stayed in the quiet green zone with Tom. She read books, studied Earth's history, and learned new languages using the translator device. She was peaceful on the outside, but inside she was troubled. Her dreams had changed. Every night she saw a giant machine hidden in space. It had no name, no face, and no heart. It was made of black metal and fire. It had waited for years in silence. Now it had opened its eyes. She felt its voice in her sleep. It was calling her. Tom noticed she wasn't sleeping well. Her eyes were tired, her hands cold. One morning he found her outside, barefoot in the grass. She looked up at the sky like she was searching for something. He asked, "What is it?" She said, "Something is moving out there. Something old." Tom felt a chill in his chest. "Do you know what it is?" Neera nodded. "It was made long ago by the Zurek people. A last weapon. They called it the Flame Core, but they lost control of it, so they locked it in a dead zone of space. No one was allowed near it." Tom asked, "Why is it waking now?" She looked at him with sad eyes. "Because it felt my power, and it wants to connect." That same day, Earth Space Watch sent a message. A patrol ship near Sector 17 had disappeared. Before the signal cut off, they sent one short message: "Black fire rising." The council called another emergency meeting. Scientists and leaders spoke in panic. They showed images from deep space. Something large was moving. It had no life signs, no signal, no response to calls. But it was real. Neera and Tom sat in the back of the room. One general pointed at her. "She knows what this thing is. Let her speak." Neera stood. The room became quiet. She said, "This weapon was made to end all wars. It feeds on energy and grows stronger. It has no pilot. It learns and fights on its own. If it reaches a living planet, it will burn everything." One man asked, "Can we destroy it with missiles?" She shook her head. "No, it changes shape. It eats weapons." Another asked, "How do we stop it?" Neera looked down. "It has a mind, a deep one. I can connect to it. I can try to shut it down." The room went silent. Tom stood up beside her. "You mean you want to go near it?" Neera answered, "Yes, I must. It came for me. I woke it by mistake. I have to put it back to sleep." Tom shook his head. "It could kill you." She turned to him. "It could kill your world if I don't." Tom clenched his fists. "There must be another way." Neera placed a hand on his arm. "I'm not afraid." The council agreed to send a small ship with Neera and Tom. They would go to the edge of space, where the flame core had last been seen. No one else was allowed close. It was too dangerous. Tom and Neera entered the ship alone. "Before leaving, Commander," Rel gave Tom a nod of respect. "Bring her back," he said. The ship moved fast through space. Stars passed like sparks. Inside, Neera sat in silence. She was saving her strength. Tom watched her. "Do you really believe you can stop it?" She looked at him. "I don't know. But I must try. He whispered, I should have protected you from this. She looked into his eyes. You gave me something more important than safety. You gave me freedom. After 2 days, they reached the edge of Sector 17. The space around them was cold and black. Then they saw it. The flame core floated in the dark like a sleeping god. It was huge, bigger than a city. Its body was made of shifting metal. Red lights moved under its skin like rivers of lava. It didn't move, but they could feel it breathing. Nira stood up. Her eyes began to glow. Open the pod, she said. Tom grabbed her hand. No, you're not going alone. She touched his face. This is something only I can do. He wanted to argue, but he saw the truth in her eyes. She entered the small pod and closed the door. The pod launched slowly toward the weapon. Inside, Nira sat still. She closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. At first, there was silence. Then a heavy voice filled her thoughts. It was not a voice of words. It was a voice of fire. You are light. You are code. You are mine. Nira spoke inside her mind. No. I am my own. The flame core pushed into her thoughts. It tried to take her memories, her name, her heart. She fought back. Her body shook. Her breath slowed. But she kept pushing. She saw deep into the machine's memory. She saw war, death, destruction. It had no joy, no peace, no kindness. It only knew how to burn. She whispered, Sleep. It is time to rest. The weapon roared in her mind. It showed her cities burning, ships falling, planets dying. But she held on. She thought of Tom. She thought of Earth's sky. She thought of the first time she saw a bird. With her last strength, she pushed one final word into the machine's mind. Stop. A bright light filled the pod. The flame core stopped moving. Its red lines turned dark. It floated silently once more. Tom watched from the ship. The weapon stopped. But the pod was drifting. He called her name again and again. No answer. He brought the pod back. He opened the door. Nira was inside, her eyes closed, her body cold. But she was alive. Her lips moved. I did it, she whispered. Tom held her close. You did more than that, he said. The small pod returned to the ship, carrying Nira, who looked very weak. Her skin was pale and her breathing was slow. Tom rushed to her side. The ship doctor met them as soon as they entered. She is alive, the doctor said. But she used too much energy. Her body is exhausted. We must keep her stable. Tom stayed with Nira day and night. He held her hand and whispered stories about Earth's sky, about the green forests and the gentle wind. Nira's eyes opened slowly, but her strength did not return quickly. The crew gathered around. Many had started to believe in her. They watched her quietly, hoping for a sign of life. One afternoon, Nira suddenly stirred. Her eyes focused on Tom. Did it stop? She asked softly. Tom smiled. Yes. The weapon is silent now. She nodded, but her face showed pain. I felt its anger. It tried to pull me in, to make me part of it. But I fought with everything. Tom squeezed her hand. You are stronger than anyone I know. Nira's voice was weak. This power is not just strength, it is a burden. Every time I use it, I lose a part of myself. Tom frowned. We will find a way to help you. Nira shook her head. No, it is my path. Days passed. Nira slowly grew stronger. She spent time in the garden of the green zone, feeling the sun and wind for the first time. Tom was always near. They talked about many things, about her world, about Earth, and about hope. One night, a new warning came from space. Another signal from deep space was detected. It was different, darker, louder. Tom watched the screen with concern. What is it this time? Nira looked tired but focused. It is the weapon's mind. It is waking up again. It is calling to others like itself. Tom's jaw tightened. We have to stop it, for good. Nira stood up, her eyes glowing faintly. This time, I cannot do it alone. Tom nodded. We will fight together. The crew prepared the ship for battle. Weapons were checked. Shields were raised. Everyone knew this fight could change everything. As they approached the dark signal, the space around them became strange. Shadows moved like living things. The ship's alarms rang. The flame core's energy was growing again. Nira entered the control room. Her eyes burned bright. She placed her hands on the control panel. The ship's systems responded to her touch. It was as if she and the ship were one. Tom stood beside her. What are you doing? I am linking with the ship, she said. It will help me fight. The dark weapon appeared ahead. It was bigger this time. Flames of energy danced on its surface. It sent waves of heat and sound. The ship shook. The weapon's mind spoke inside Nira's head again. It was angry and cruel. It wanted to destroy all life, Nira spoke back. You will not win. The battle began. Nira's mind and the weapon's mind clashed like two storms. Lightning and fire burned in her thoughts. The ship's weapons fired, trying to weaken the enemy. But the weapon changed shape, avoiding attacks. Tom piloted the ship with skill. He moved through the waves of fire, protecting Nira. He called out orders to the crew. The fight lasted hours. Nira's energy began to fade. Her body trembled, but she refused to stop. I need more power, she said. Tom looked at her. Where will you get it? She closed her eyes. From the first light inside me. Tom watched as her eyes shone with pure light. The ship's systems glowed in response. The dark weapon roared, feeling the new strength. The final clash was near. Nira reached deep inside her mind. She called on the ancient power, the light that had been hidden for centuries. The weapon fought back with all its rage. Suddenly, a bright wave of energy burst from Nira. It hit the weapon like a storm. The flames around it dimmed. Its shape began to break apart. The weapon screamed in silence and then fell still. Nira collapsed, weak but victorious. Tom caught her in his arms. You did it, she smiled faintly. We did it, together. The crew cheered quietly. They had seen something new. The strength of light and mind joined. After the battle, Nira lay in the medical room. She was tired but peaceful. Tom sat beside her, holding her hand. You saved many lives, he said softly. She looked at him. I was afraid to use my power before. Now I know I am not alone. Tom smiled. You will never be alone. Nira closed her eyes and rested. The war was over, but a new story had begun. After the battle with the Flame Core, life on Earth slowly returned to normal. The news of Nira's bravery spread across the world. People were curious, some were afraid, but many were hopeful. They had seen that an alien princess and a human soldier could change the future. Nira stayed at the Green Zone. Her body was still weak, but her spirit was stronger than ever. Tom never left her side. They spent many hours talking about what had happened and what could come next. One morning, Tom took Nira outside. The sun was bright, and birds sang in the trees. She smiled as the warm light touched her face. Earth is beautiful, she said. Tom nodded. I'm glad you see it that way. Nira looked at him. You gave me a chance when no one else would. Tom smiled gently. Because I saw more than what others saw. I saw a fighter, a survivor. Nira's eyes shone softly. I want to help your world, to build a new future. Tom took her hand. Then we will do it together, in the following weeks, Nira worked with scientists and leaders. She shared her knowledge of ancient power and technology. People listened. They learned that strength was not only in weapons or machines, but in hope and trust. The council invited Nira to speak. She told them about her world and the lessons she had learned. She asked for peace between humans and aliens, for friendship, and for courage to face the unknown. Her words touched many hearts. Tom stood quietly behind her. He was proud but humble. He knew the real strength came from Nira's courage. Outside, children played in the parks. Some of them had heard stories of the alien princess who saved Earth. They dreamed of adventures and friendship beyond the stars. One day, Tom and Nira walked by a river. The water was clear and cold. Nira knelt and touched the water with her hand. "This feels like a new beginning," she said. Tom sat beside her. "It is, for both of us." Nira looked at the sky. "I was once the weakest, the one everyone forgot. But you showed me that weakness can hide strength." Tom smiled. "Everyone has a light inside. Sometimes it just needs someone to help it shine." They sat quietly, watching the sun set. The colors painted the sky with orange and pink. It was peaceful. The war was over. The threat was gone. But a new journey had just begun. Nira and Tom were no longer just a soldier and a princess. They were friends, partners, and hope for a better future. Together, they would face whatever came next, and the stars above watched silently, waiting for their next story.